So here's part 2 of that RSX review with those mild mods. This car is nothing like my Evo or even GTI, which is, way faster than this car, But what's the appeal? What's the appeal of the RSX if it's not even anything near as quick as the Evo or the GTI? Well, that's a loaded question, but the RSX has this appeal that is, I don't know if it's a daily driver appeal or it's just the fact that I think maybe because growing up back in the days, I saw these cars like the Integras and the RSXs as kind of cool cars, It wasn't really a car that I purchased back then, and it wasn't because I didn't want these cars.
What makes the RSX special? I think because for me, it brings me back to the 90s, and during that time, import cars and fixing up cars was huge.
Yay! The Type Rs and all that, they were good. They were nice cars. They appealed to me and to people like myself who were into these JDM cars back then. But yeah, you can make them faster, but you just have to spend money. And that's not really the reason why I purchased this car. I mean, the whole appeal for me for the car is that it was going to be a daily driver. And maybe that's what it is, because I know that they feel reliable. They feel like I could drive them for a long time and not worry about it, and yet still have that flavor, still, have the ability to add things to it without overspending, because there's so many parts for this car. You can get there's so many aftermarket parts that you can add, not just the kit, the headlights, or anything else that I want to do, I could do to this car without overspending. And that's sort of the appeal as well, just kind of having a toy without going overboard. You can't compare apples and oranges. Like, an Evo is all-wheel drive, much faster, but I couldn't drive it every day as well because it ate too much gas. With this car, it's relatively okay on the gas part, even though I still use super unleaded, but it's not 16 miles per gallon or less. With the GTI, that was a good car. I really enjoyed that car as well. But because of the modifications, you couldn't really just get it smogged. I've had smog issues with that car. I know at one point, I know I've talked about this, but I had to go through 5 different smog shops just to try to get that car smogged. And it was a nightmare. And it shouldn't even be that way, right? Because obviously I have other ways of getting my car smogged. Anyway, the point is, this car is hassle-free, right? I mean, if I don't do much to it, if all I do is even change the muffler, the exhaust, or whatever, headers, I can always take those back out. It's not like the FRS where it has a turbo kit, and I can't remove that quite easily, right? And you can tell when I compare it to other cars, even the 3000 GT, which also had low miles, it just didn't feel like I could daily drive that car compared to the RSX. The RSX, once I started driving it, I could take it anywhere. I could go get food with it. I can go to the grocery. I could drive it to Vegas and still not worry about it, right? With an older car like the 3000 GT, I feel like I can maybe feel comfortable driving that maybe once a week, and not really go certain places with it. It's not that comfortable buying food with buying takeout or whatever, because there's no cup holders and stuff like that, and it just didn't feel like a daily driver to me. So those are little things that are just kind of hard to explain unless you basically live with the car and just drive it every day. The FRS is the same thing. It was nice. I added all these modifications to it, but I didn't really want to daily drive it because I feel like I would mess it up somehow, or something would go bad and then I would have to repair something. So I don't have that issue with this car. The RSX has that appeal. I want to just take this moment to sort of make a comparison between this and my FRS. And the reason why I tend to make comparisons with my FRS is because they're sort of similar in many ways. Even though the FRS is a rear-wheel drive car and this is front-wheel drive, they both have 200 horsepower and similar size vehicle. They could be daily drivers in a way if the FRS was still, stock. If I didn't modify it and add the turbo kit, then it would be very similar in many ways, right? The lip kit's very similar, right? I put a lip kit on the RSX and I have a lip kit on the FRS as well. The big difference is that the price of the lip kit for the FRS was much more expensive. And that's another thing about the RSX. You can get a lot of parts for fairly cheap, like that kit, the lip kit I got with the front, the rear. It was very, very cheap, didn't cost that much. Maybe 80 bucks for the front, maybe similar price for the rear. With my FRS, it was much more expensive. I didn't really have to put a lip kit on the RSX, but I did anyways because it just looks better like that. Plus I was getting the car painted, so that's the thing. Because I had to get the car painted, the hood, the fenders, and everything else, practically the whole car, I said, okay, might as well put a lip kit on there. Obviously, this car is not as modified as the FRS. The FRS had the Brembo brakes. This one has the stock brakes. The FRS has the turbo. This one does not have anything. So that one, I just went all out. But that car had a different purpose. That car was meant for sort of track. It was a track car, and I did take it to the tracks. So I added all these things to it: suspension, coilovers, all the stuff that would kind of make it track ready. And the RSX is nothing like that. This is just a daily driver for me. Obviously, if I had the same intent as the FRS, then same thing. I would do similar things. I would add better suspension, right? I would do coilovers. I would add strut bars, sway bars, all those things to this car. But again, I don't need to, because it's a daily driver, and the purpose of this car is just to take me from point A to point B in style. Stock for stock, I think this car would still be competitive against a car like that, FRS or BRZ, because it just has as much power, or it redlines in fact better. It feels good to drive, and the interior is better than the FRS interior. It has a power sunroof, and it's probably just as reliable, if not more so, than the FRS. So that's really what I get out of this car, is just having some style and yet being able to drive it the way I want to take it wherever I need to go, and not worry so much about it.
Our usual Sunday vid ops. It was kind of cold this morning, but at least the sun is coming out. This RSX, I think you can drive just about anywhere. I mean, yeah, you might worry. Well, you always worry about your car no matter what. But because it's mildly modded, it feels like you could drive just about anywhere. And when you are driving, it's not as bumpy. I think the fact that it's kind of smooth when you drive it, even though it's been lowered, makes you feel like more of a daily driver, at least to me. So it's pretty comfortable. Actually, it's really comfortable with the ride, the smoothness, and then the seats are, I know bucket seats are always the best when you want to drive fixed up cars or track or something like that, but it's not comfortable for the passenger, let me tell you. So I like these seats better than even the FRS, because the FRS, it was so bucket. Even as a passenger, you feel like you're so low. So when there's a car at the light parked next to you, it feels like everybody is a 4x or something, even if it's a normal car. But in this car, yeah, you're lowered, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like you're low to the ground. And getting into these seats, I pretty much just go in, sit down, and get back up. In the FRS, I fall into the bucket seats, and then my knees are like way up here on my chin. To get out, I practically have to like push myself off. It's like a little workout. And speaking of workout, you know, after training and you're sore, it's not fun to get in and out of the FRS. It's like an effort. Kind of funny, but it's true. I like the RSX. It does remind me of the 90s, a little bit of a nostalgic feeling. It's simple, but it has angles. It looks good. There's some style and personality, especially if you mod it a little bit. It gives it more personality, or it brings out his personality. Just enough though, not too wild, not like, hey, look at me, I'm wild and crazy, but look at me, I got style. This is who I am. So it still says something. Like when we drive down the street, I do see people still looking. So, you know, you're still in that tuner subculture. At first I thought, well, it's just an RSX, right? And it's not fixed up the way the FRS was, or the Evo and so forth. But people still do look, because you have like the lip kit, the lights, which makes it, you know, the front lights, headlights makes it much newer, the big tail, so it does catch people's eyes, and it still stands out. So I think that's what it is. It's still simple, but yet it still stands out. Kind of funny like that. I can appreciate it because it's a daily car. I mean, it's something that I could see myself driving to wherever, to work, even to the groceries, and not have to worry about it. Or when I'm driving, I don't have to worry about all these things like bumping it or hitting it or scratching it as much as the FRS. And to me, it's more manageable. And I'm really into having a car taking me from point A to point B, but why not have it with some personality? And that's really what the RSX is. There you have it. How do you guys like my daily driver?
Most of my cars, if not all the cars I've had, has been modified to a certain extent. And I haven't really had a daily driver for quite some time, aside from just cars that I don't fix up, period, right? I got that tuner blood, or I'm a car guy. I feel like I do want to add more stuff to it, because that's how it is, right? You guys know how I feel. I feel like, you know, hey, I should put the big brakes. It's not that much more. Obviously, I should put the exhaust so it sounds good. Maybe get the ECU redone as well, added, and make it faster. Oh, why not add the turbo as well, right? See, that's the reason why I'm really not going crazy or even adding stuff, because once I get started, it's really hard to stop. And you know, that's what happened with the cars that I've had. So you guys know, if you guys watch my segments on my MR2, and just realize just how much I've invested on that car, you know, and I practically added everything that I could to that car, even some stuff that I kind of didn't want to, but because I was sort of in that mode of just, you know, modifying like crazy, especially for a show car like that, then, you know, I spared no expense, and I just added everything I could to it. So I kind of have that in me, you know, to always add stuff as a tuner. Even on this car, right? I told you guys, you know, it's too quiet. Maybe I should add an exhaust. I'm not really content with the springs being uneven, and then there's more gap in the front. Maybe I should change it up to coilovers, things like that. But I'm trying to stop myself not to do all that, because I'm trying to hold back. This is a daily driver, but we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what I do in the future. But for now, this is what I have, and that's why I'm giving you guys this review. We'll see if I add any more stuff in the future, but for now, this is what I have. So until next time, see you guys. So this is a comprehensive review of the daily DC5 so far. Hope you guys got something out of it. Just wanted to talk about some of the mods that I've added and how I feel about them so far, as well as making comparisons with my other cars, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how the Type S stacks up. And to me, it stacks up well as far as daily driving is concerned. So there you have it. Till next time, drive safe and keep on rolling.